Hi guys, welcome to the Pole Shift News. Before we begin, as usual, I want to thank just a few people over the last week that have made some effort to support the channel. Kudos to you guys. You know, it's people like yourselves that have got us where we are on this channel. You know, without the help, we wouldn't have had half of the equipment that we've got now, monitoring the magnetic North Pole, and we wouldn't certainly have the magnetosphere equipment that's going to be monitoring the weakening magnetosphere. On that subject, around about the 17th of this month, we're going to be pulling the SD card out the sensor, and we'll process that data, and we'll just see over 1 month, or the first month of the magnetosphere sensor being in active use, whether there is anything to decipher on, as to how much we are losing and over what period of time. I think in reality it's going to be 6 months before we can even make a prediction. Things like on the trimagnetometer station, when we monitor the magnetic North Pole at the moment, are moving very slow, and the reason I think that it's moving slow is because the Earth's temperature is cooling. And I think even the slightest amount of cooling that we've experienced over the last 7 years, or thereabouts, I would say actually 11 years, has been enough, perhaps, to slow the magnetic migration down a tad. But we're going to know once we've had at least a year's data to go over, and we can then see how much exactly has moved. You know, from what I've seen so far, I think it's around about 1 degree. And we'll work out how many miles that is and over what period of time it's migrated at least 1 degree. And it is significant. It might not sound a lot to a lot of people, but 1 degree of movement is a lot. And it'll be the same for when we see the magnetosphere depleting, and by what amount. I'm really excited to see the data that we've collected. I think we started the data collecting on the 17th of last month. So on the 17th of this month, we'll have around about 30 or so days worth of data, and it'll be interesting to see how the magnetosphere has been behaving over the last month, even if it hasn't been depleting by much. The other thing that we've done well on this channel, I'm just going to, on the website at the moment, if you've not been over there, have a look at poleshiftnews.com. I know some of you are struggling, even though you're putting in the correct address, you're getting up some errors and things like that. I could be paranoid, I could say that it's down to greater powers not wanting this information to get out to the majority of the public, but I'll leave it up to you. All I can say is that since November, December, I've registered the name of the website on about 140 search engines. So if you do not, if you're not able to find it, then it's a little bit of a mystery. But I know in the case where people have repeatedly, put in poleshiftnews.com, eventually it has come up and they have found us on there. So, I'm just, I think for the channel and the research, I think, we're doing alright, guys. We've got quite a bit of data already on magnetometers, but it's not over an archived period of time. And around about the 17th, there'll be a new page next to the trimagnetometer data page, just for the magnetosphere weakening. It might even be titled there as well. We cover solar data as well on here. I'm just going to go through some of the pages just for those that haven't seen, because you might find something interesting here. But we've got quite a bit of live solar data feed. Like I say, these things change. These widgets do when there is a geomagnetic storm. It says unsettled or storm in place. We've got the KP index, protons and X-ray flux. Down here, the deabsorption region, and we've got the auroras both over the northern and southern hemisphere, and then we've got some space environmental overviews and other data as well for you to have a look at, relating to sunspots and the recorded history of those. We've got live volcano maps on there. I'll just quickly show. We've got earthquakes. Just type in the magnitude of earthquake you're looking for. If I do manage to find a better widget than this, I know it's a little bit difficult to get Google Maps because, like what the USGS, I can get hold of the USGS data, but I'm having problems with obtaining and using Google Maps in order to put the map down. There's a certain process for that, and I'll look into that a little bit better, so it'd be a bit easier for you to see. You won't have to type in the magnitude of earthquake that you're interested. You'll just be able to type in, or you'll just be able to come onto the page and you'll see various magnitudes, the most recent one, and whereabout it is on the global map. We've got sea ice extent maps, which are updated daily or every other day, as well as the Arctic extent chart there, and then we've got wind speed and snow cover and sea ice all in the one map there. You can see the jet streams there. We've got some global weather maps on there, and it's becoming, hopefully for some of you guys, I know that some of you have already mentioned it, it's a great place to come for all the data in one place, because sometimes you visit USGS for your earthquakes, then you go over to another volcano site that's specifically just doing volcanic activity, and the same for the sea ice. Well, we cover quite a bit. We've got precipitable water, and we've got the sea surface temperature charts on this as well. We've got space weather, which covers the Van Allen belts, wind speed again, the KP index, like on the other page with the solar data, and we've got the electron content forecast there, and again, solar X-rays, proton flux, and a good chart. That's why I put it on there, because the KP index is actually on the right hand side and on the left hand side graded for you, so you can see what a KP5 is. It's a G1 or G2, G3. And there's various other things on there, guys. In the Learning Centre, there's some good videos in there that I'll put in there. There's some data on climate change, and there's also data on what's happened to planets that have lost their magnetospheres, such as Mars. So there's quite a lot of data on the website. I'm sure that you'll find something, and if you can suggest something you'd like to see on that website as well, just let me know. So mainly, like I said, and like the homepage states, we're interested in the magnetic pole migration, and for the reason that it's a rare event and it's currently taking place right now, and we want to know what the effects will be from the magnetic poles reversing on the planet. We know the magnetosphere will be greatly reduced during that reversal period, and for that reason alone, we know that sputtering will take place in the atmosphere, which is the loss of atmospheric gases. And when we look at Mars, we can see what happened when that lost its atmosphere. So guys, in the next few days I'm going to be pulling, like I say, the SD card out and graphing that data for you, and we can have a look on how well we've covered the data over the last month, and whether there is any early signs yet of how fast the magnetosphere is weakening. For a little website and research facility, we're doing quite well, I think. I think you'd agree. It's a great little observatory, and giving other organisations a run for the money. Okay, we don't have the money or the permission to put up our own satellites, but trust me, if I did have the funds and the resources, I do believe we could do it. It's not a new technology now, putting satellites into space, and it just requires a vehicle to do it, and the money to do it, and also the permission to do it. Yes, guys, before I go any further, I'm not going to launch into a fundraiser to put our own satellite into space, because, you know, I don't think we'd ever raise that kind of money on this channel, and even if we did, I don't think we'd ever get permission to do it. But you know, there are things that we can do as a ground-based observatory, and you know, it doesn't stop us tracking the magnetic North Pole in its migration, and you know, comparing some of the data that we gather against some other weather anomalies, as to see whether we can find, you know, plausible explanations as to why those anomalies are taking place, and whether it is linked to a pole shift. So, you know, I'm going to leave it here, guys. I want to just thank those guys again for helping to support the channel, the research that we do on this website as well. And, you know, come back and, you know, when we get the data, have a look and see what you think. And as always, guys, the link's down there if you want to support the channel. Please do. Now is a greater time than ever to do that. And I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.